Welcome into a brand new Broncos weekend. We are so excited to have you here. We have some new things in store this season. I'm Elisa Hernandez, the Denver Broncos new team reporter, and I have the privilege to be joined by former Bronco Orlando Franklin and Denver 7's Bradey King. How are you guys? Excited for the season to start?
Oh, absolutely. Living here in Broncos country, you know, this fan base, when football season is right around the corner, it's different. I feel like people have a little bit more of a pep in their step in the grocery store. When you go to the gas station, they got their gear on. So it's an exciting time to be here in Broncos country for sure.
I completely agree. It feels like there's a brand new energy even in this building. You can probably attest to that. But yeah, football season's the best. Fall is the best. It's pumpkin spice. It's football. I'm so excited. It's finally here.
Well, the pumpkin spice already made me kind of hungry. Speaking of hungry, we have a very young and hungry team this season. Obviously, we have the addition of Bo Nix and so many other pieces. But starting with him, what have you guys kind of seen from how this team is like starting to change the culture here in the building?
I mean, I think everybody's just very excited about Bo. You mentioned this team being young and hungry. Sean Payton has said since spring, honestly, that young and hungry can be dangerous. And I love that because I think with a young team, there's a lot of optimism going in, especially with Bo Nix going in with the young team. And I did look this up. The Broncos are the youngest team in the AFC, average age of 26 years, 1 month and 19 days to be specific. So
some young bucks.
They are young, but I think that's exciting. And I've seen a lot of maturity from Bo Nix despite being young.
Yeah, when you have a young football team and you go out there, guys understand that, hey, there's a lot more opportunities to eat in this system, and you get to represent this uniform, this city, but also you're representing yourself.
Well, the thing about the young and hungry, there's another team that's also hungry, and they're going to want to make their name by targeting the biggest guy on the field. And right now, that's Bo Nix. He's going to be the first rookie quarterback to start in week 1 since John Elway in 1983. What do you think are his keys to success?
There's a reason why this offensive line is paid, right? Garrett Bowles, you're making a lot of money. Ben Powers, Mike McGlinchey, and, you know, the new addition, Quinn Miners, got paid this offseason. So let those big boys eat. Take some of the pressure off of Bo Nix, right? And when you do put the ball in his hands, there are different things that you could do to help out a young quarterback. You could move the pocket, you know, slide into protection one way, but also 3-step drops, allowing the offensive line to be as aggressive as possible. And, you know, you got Audric Estime, you got Javonte Williams. They're both kind of the bruiser. Let those guys do what they're supposed to do and bruise the defense and wear those guys down.
Absolutely. And you mentioned John Elway. I think he gave the stamp of approval for Bo a couple of weeks ago at the BMW Championship, just saying he's extremely talented, but as a rookie, there's going to be ups and downs, so they need to kind of give him that leeway to develop. And I think Sean Payton's going to do a great job putting him in good situations, having them run the football, making sure he's comfortable.
One thing that head coach Sean Payton had said was just he's really impressed with the leadership and the poise and the maturity that Bo Nix has been able to show, especially during training camp. And clearly the players agreed because he was voted as team captain. What do you think that means for the team, for his team to have him be the starting guy, but also say, you know what, we're going to have you lead us on another level as well? When
you walk into an NFL locker room, I've always believed that it's the hardest locker room in the world to walk into because every single one of those guys were alpha at some point.
Yep.
Whether it was high school, college, or even in the pros.
The best of the best.
Exactly, right? If you're not your organic self, guys are going to be able to see that. Guys are going to be able to say, man, this guy's not real.
Don't cap
That's how you lose the locker room. So for Bo to be named a captain, man, it tells me that from day one after you became the first-round pick, he's been a certain way, and now he's still that way.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, well, shout out Floyd Little, because that was the last time that a rookie was team captain. And after practice on Wednesday, Nix talked to the media about the honor of being chosen as the first rookie season captain since 1967.
I don't take it lightly. I know it's a big deal, and you know, it hasn't happened often, but I'm not going to take it for granted. I've got to come to work every single day and just prove that you can be a captain.
When I think about Bo, I think about Poise. He just is so calm, cool, and collected all the time. I'm ready to see him kind of get fired up, but I do like that he is that even keel, confident, poised person to lead a locker room and obviously lead the guys on the field. I think is huge.
I mean, Seattle is a big test. It's loud. It's such an environment. Again, he's very cool, calm and collective.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see if he's going to just wiggle out a little bit, maybe crack a smile, kind of be like, wow, this is my life.
Yeah.
But how else can this team help him be successful on Sunday?
Yeah, I think you got to rely heavily on the run game. You know, the run game starts going. If you are 4 yards a clip in the run game, you know, that's what you thrive for. But if you can average that on the day, it makes it easier for head coach Sean Payton to call more and more runs. As a former offensive lineman, I much rather go forward than go backwards in pass protection. But when you do pass protect, you got to be clean, right? You know, you got to make sure that you catch the balls that are meant for you. If he puts it in your radius, go up and get it, or at the very least, you know, have some great body control to try to draw a flag in situations like that. I think, you know, that's how you do it offensively.
Yeah.
You want to touch on the defense?
On the flip side, I think the defense just playing clean football, no penalties. Honestly, just starting fast, starting early. I know we mentioned it's going to be difficult, but for them to just not dig Bo Nix a hole to have to climb out of. You know, if they can just keep things steady, get after the quarterback, play fast, play aggressive early, I think the defense starting strong. The defense has always kind of been the backbone of this franchise. If they can kind of get back to that and start strong, I think that will be huge.
And steal a possession. If you could steal a possession,
and,
you know, Pat Surtain just got that big payday. So if you could steal a possession or two, you know, that's also going to help the offense out as well.
You know, speaking of Pat, well, he's one of the anchors on the Broncos defense, and this two-time Pro Bowler cornerback and the newly appointed team captain signed a 4-year extension. I was able to catch up with him after practice. Take a look. I'm here with two-time Pro Bowler and Denver Broncos cornerback Pat Surtain II, who just got done signing his 4-year extension with the team. How does it feel to know you're going to be part of Broncos country for years to come?
I mean, it feels honestly surreal knowing I'm going to be part of this organization and looking to build towards success each and every year. I'm honestly grateful that this organization believes in me, you know, believes in me and my family as well, too. Last night, I remember I'm just over here on the phone, just hearing talks, and when the deal finally got negotiated and done and handled, man, I was honestly relieved and, you know, very happy for sure.
Flashbacks to draft night, right? From that 9th overall pick to a long-term deal. What has this journey been like for you?
Honestly, I'm grateful for this journey, you know, the ups and downs, the goods, you know, everything. I mean, I'm just very grateful for this journey, this NFL journey. And the best thing about it is I still got more in the tank, you know, honestly. I'm still young in my career. So this is a starting point, but I'm looking forward to build on more and more success.
For the first time in your career, you are a captain for the season as chosen by your teammates. What does that honor mean to you?
It's huge to get that mention from your peers, to be able to hear how much your teammates think about you and the organization believes in you, to be team captain. Honestly, it means a lot. And I'm looking forward to take on that role, and I'm going to give it everything I got on the field for the boys for sure.
You've been a pillar in this team for quite a minute. A lot of the guys really respect you. How encouraged are you by what you guys are building here, especially on the defensive side? Very
encouraged. We brought in a lot of new guys, you know, in free agency. We got a lot of young guys coming in, making plays. That's going to play significant roles in this defense. And like I said before, I just think our standard is very high for ourselves, and we're just looking to uphold that standard each and every week.
New deal, team captain, and now your sights on set are on week 1 in Seattle. How excited are you to finally get the season going?
Very excited. I feel like last year, you know, wasn't the season we wanted, the way how it ended, but that's why you look forward for the better. And now we get another opportunity at stake at our hands, starting week 1 in Seattle, and I'm looking forward to it.
When we come back, we'll be joined by Hall of Famer Steve Atwater to dive into Surtain's game and also reveal the numbers to know ahead of week 1. Stay with us.
I know what I could work on, and I know what I could get better at. And, you know, I'm very confident in my abilities, but, you know, I mean, I know that, you know, there's a high ceiling for me, you know what I mean? And, you know, I'm just looking forward to keep on getting better each and every year.
Welcome back to Broncos Weekend. That was cornerback Pat Surtain II talking to the media, one of the key pieces to the Broncos defense. Right now, let's check in with Hall of Famer Steve Atwater and former Bronco Orlando Franklin to dive a little more into Pat Surtain. Guys?
All right, now let's talk about the man, PS2, Pat Surtain II. This guy's been making plays since day one. What do you see in this game that makes him an elite cornerback in this league?
He runs the routes for wide receivers. So this is a guy that we constantly see. For me as a former offensive lineman, I know that he's in his playbook, right? his game coming out of college was he was a bigger guy that naturally was able to squeeze wide receivers to the sideline. When I watch him play on Sundays, I could tell that he's looked at the wide receiver that he's matched up against. He understands what that person's best routes are. And when he recognizes them, he's able to jump on them and convert and play downhill. Another thing that I really love about his game as well, Steve, is when you watch those games on Sunday and anytime you see that, that camera go up to his face and you can see his facial expression, where are his eyes? He's constantly looking at the quarterback,
yes,
constantly looking in the backfield. And I just think that he brings a calm demeanor about himself that really votes very well for going against one of the best wide receivers every single week that he has to match up against.
Yeah, and playing the cornerback position is very tough. I believe it's one of the most tough positions on the football field, especially defensively, because many times you're going up against the best offensive players in the game. And he's really stepped up to the plate many times, making big plays, interception, taking for a touchdown, pass breakups. I think he has great eyes, great center of gravity, and he has the speed to run with the fastest guys in the league.
Yeah, I always give cornerbacks a lot more respect than a lot of other people, to be honest with you.
Okay.
My offensive lineman, even though I don't look like it, right? But I had to play the game backwards, right?
Yeah.
I'm always going backwards. When you look at PS2, that's what he has to do as well. He has to play the game going backwards. And I just think that there's a certain level of athleticism that maybe other guys don't have on the football field when you have to play the game backwards so much like he does. He is a smaller version of offensive tackle,
okay,
in my opinion,
all right.
okay? But he could just catch a little bit better, as we could see right here, taking that one to the house.
Yes, yes.
I think that's a big part of why we see PS2 being the player that he is today, but also getting that huge payday as well, because it's well-deserved.
Yeah, and as you know, 2 years ago, we opened up in Seattle, had Pastor matched up against DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf had under 50 yards receiving. What do you think about this matchup now with both of these guys having matured a little bit more?
I love it because, back then, DK tried to bully him. DK tried to build the physicality. And that's where Pat was able to add another layer of his game that I have not necessarily seen. And that's what is going to happen this week as well, right? DK brings a certain skill set to offense, and he plays the game of football with physicality at the wide receiver position. He doesn't get you to try to move off your spot. He tries to run through you
yes,
in order for you to move off that spot. And when you look at that, I think, Pat has been, that wasn't necessarily his game, but as you talked about, he was able to find success. So I think this week we're going to see the same thing that we've seen, where you don't necessarily get to play this type of football each and every week, because those number one wide receivers, the Jamar Chase, the Justin Jeffersons, right, the CeeDee Lambs, those guys beat guys with quickness. They beat guys with making telling a story with their body, doing something different. Now this week, Pat's going to have to be physical to get DK off that route. So a lot of tight man-to-man coverage, pressed up at the line of scrimmage, and really dialing into those keys. And when he gets off the line of scrimmage, I want to see that jam, right? Can you throw off the timing with him and his quarterback even a half a second, because now you allow that pass rush to really get after the quarterback as well.
Wow, hey, that's a great breakdown. And hey, we're going to see a great battle between these two come Sunday. So back to you, Elisa.
Thanks, guys. To kick off the 2024 NFL season, the Denver Broncos go on the road facing the Seattle Seahawks Week 1. In the all-time series history, Denver holds a 35-20 advantage. These two teams last saw each other in 2022. We crunched the stats, and here are the numbers you need to know. Rookie quarterback Bo Nix becomes just the 11th QB drafted by the Broncos to make a start during his rookie season. He is the second Bronco rookie and first since Hall of Famer John Elway to start Week 1. During the 2024 preseason, Denver did not punt on any drive when Nix was playing and scored on 6 of 7 possessions. Nix was 23-30 for 205 passing yards and 2 passing TDs. He put up an 116.7 passer rating. Nix can become the first rookie starting QB drafted after the 10th overall pick to win in Week 1 since Geno Smith. The Broncos wideouts look to pick up where they left off. Nix will look to his receivers Courtland Sutton and Marvin Mims Jr. this season. Sutton needs just 2 receptions to become the 5th Bronco in team history to reach 300 career catches within his first 82 games. Sutton led the Broncos with 59 receptions, 772 receiving yards, and 10 TDs in 2023. He's the first Bronco in 10 seasons to tally at least 10 receiving scores in a single campaign. Mims was named to the NFL's All-Rookie team and became the 6th Broncos rookie and first since 2018 to be named to the Pro Bowl. In his 33 targets his rookie season, Mims Jr. averaged over 17 yards per reception, which was most amongst rookies who had a minimum of 20 receptions. Last season, the Broncos defense totaled 26 takeaways for the first time since 2018 and tied for 5th most by a Broncos defense since 2009. The defense had 11 interceptions and recovered a league-high 15 fumbles. The 15 fumble recoveries were the most by the club in a single season since 2007. For the first time in franchise history, the team led the league in fumble recoveries, posting a +4 turnover differential. The Broncos defense finished last season on a high note, ranking 7th in the NFL in points allowed per game, starting in Week 7. Inside linebacker and team captain Alex Singleton totaled 175 defensive tackles, most by a Bronco in a single season since at least 1994. These are the numbers you needed to know ahead of Week 1. When we come back, Denver 7's Bradey King will have your fantasy focus, and we will give our final thoughts. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Broncos Weekend. It is my favorite time of the year, obviously football season, but also fantasy football season. I get way too invested with my fantasy football team. I mean, most of us will never be in Sean Payton's shoes, right? So managing fantasy teams is as close as we're going to get. So give us this, okay? It's Week 1. I don't have any top performers for you yet, obviously, but I can still give you a prediction of a player who I think is going to perform well this year. So if you're in the market for a receiver, Courtland Sutton is your guy. Take this from a 2023 fantasy football champion, okay? I know what I'm talking about. I think Court is going to have a big year. Let's talk stats for a second. Last season, Court caught 59 passes for over 700 yards and 10 touchdowns. And that was in a season where the Broncos offense struggled to score points. And despite those struggles, Sutton was still ranked 28th among fantasy receivers league-wide, averaging 8.2 points per game. And obviously in fantasy, consistency is key. If you can count on your receiver to have around 10 points per game, you're feeling pretty good. Sutton averaged 9.5 fantasy points per game since 2021. And that was with Jerry Jeudy on the team. So not bad numbers, but good news. I think he's going to be even better this year. He seems to be physically and mentally in a great spot, thriving off of this young and hungry roster. He's a vet in the room. He got the most votes for team captain, and he's already building strong chemistry with rookie QB Bo Nix. So I think Sutton's going to serve as sort of a security blanket for Nix. My expectations for Court this season, he's going to get more targets by building that relationship with Bo, and more targets will ultimately mean more touchdowns, which for you equals more fantasy points. So it all starts this weekend in Seattle. I asked Court what challenges the Seahawks pose.
You know, obviously have a new staff that has come in and a new regime that's there, but I think they have a lot of talent in a lot of spots on the field. Like I said, on both sides of the ball, and even in the special teams side of the ball, or phase of the game, I should say. And so, you know, it's really going to be upon us to make sure that we're you know, fine-tuning our craft out here on practice, getting into the film, figuring out where these coordinators have come from, watching some of their film, analyzing some of the guys that have been there and some of the guys that are still there, analyzing their technique, so that when we get out there on Sunday, we're ready and firing in all cylinders.
I'm excited to see what fantasy focus continues to be, because I think you're onto something with Court.
Hey, I hope so. Well, I think more targets obviously equals more touchdowns, and I think that's what's going to happen for Court this season. I'm hoping so. He's a vet. He's a true pro. He's got great hands. He actually held my baby at the last preseason game against the Packers. My baby Goldie, he reached up, held her. Was a natural, honestly. So I feel like if we're going to trust anybody, we got to trust Court with the ball, right?
I will say, I was there on this. It was my first game, and I'm looking up, and I'm like, who is giving their baby to Courtland Sutton?
That would be
and
my
I'm
husband.
just like watching, and then next thing you know, it's going viral because
she's like, okay, whatever. She's pretty chill with anything. So yeah, Goldie and Court are buddies, and yeah, so we're rooting for him this season for sure.
Yeah, I think the biggest outlier for Courtland Sutton this year will be the second year in the system. You know, hearing it for a second time. He understands the expectations that are on him this year, but just knowing, okay, when Coach Payton calls this route, what's my tempo? Where do I have to be? When do I have to be there? And I think that as a guy that young wide receiver looks up to, he always has to do it right. Yeah. So when you do all these little things behind the scene and the familiarity of being in the system for a second year, I think very quickly we're going to see he's going to be one of Bo Nix's favorite target very early in the season.
That's going to be his big dog. That's going to be his big dog on the field. And we have a new segment here that we're going to unveil. It's called Call Game. And each week our amazing guests will pick a player that they think will play well against the upcoming matchup and call game. So week 1, we have Seattle. Orlando, who you got calling game?
I'm got to go with my boy. I was with him a couple years ago in San Francisco when I was coaching with them. I got to go with DJ Jones. And that's just because of what I've seen this offseason. Vance Joseph has changed up how he's calling the defense. They're going to more of a jet technique on the defensive line where you're able to, explode off the ball and get 2 yards in the backfield. And that's when you read and react to the play. Where before, since DJ's been here, it's been, I got to play 2 gap. I got to, set HUD and follow that center or follow that guard. And that's not what got him paid. What got him paid was that old school jet up the field, get 2 yards in the field, screw up rush lanes for the running back, and now you read and react. I think DJ's going to have a monster year. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes it to the Pro Bowl for the Broncos.
Oh, all right. Big words there. What about you, Bradey?
I'm going Javonte Williams. Look good, feel good, play good, right? He trimmed down, I think, 10 pounds, Sean Payton said this offseason, and he just looks good. He's 100% healthy and looks full speed. I'm excited to finally see that again from Javonte. There was so much hype and so much excitement around him a couple years ago, and I just feel like this will finally be his year to really break out and shine. And the Broncos are going to have to rely on the run game against Seattle to have some success. So hopefully Javonte can take some pressure off Bo and use that speed.
Well, all right, there you have it. And we will see on Sunday who calls game. And make sure you guys tweet us and call your shot. For Denver 7's Bradey King, Hall of Famer Steve Atwater, former Bronco Orlando Franklin, I'm the Denver Broncos new team reporter, Elisa Hernandez. And this is Broncos Weekend. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you guys next week.